Okay, so for a lot of us tracking, metabolic health and weight science, when you hear terms like semaglutide or GLP-1 agonists, what
Mhm.
usually comes to mind is the physical stuff, right? The weight
Right,
loss.
the powerful physical effect.
Exactly. But today we really want to zoom in on something that maybe gets less airtime, but it's profoundly important. It's what happens after those initial changes, when that constant background noise of cravings finally quiets down.
Yeah.
And these deeper, real questions about our relationship with food start bubbling up.
And that's really the heart of this deep dive, isn't it? We're focusing on understanding emotional hunger, but specifically within this whole context of weight loss.
Right.
And looking at how tools like semaglutide can be, well, more of a catalyst than
Like a
anything.
catalyst, yeah, not the whole story.
Exactly. And we'll be pulling in insights from a few places, but particularly the perspective of Dan Hollis. He brings this really unique, very human, very personal viewpoint because he's lived it.
He's been through it himself. That makes such a difference.
It really does. His whole approach isn't just about the mechanics of the medication. It's about navigating that uh, emotional landscape of hunger that opens up.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And his framework is super valuable for that. But we're also going to, weave in some broader psychological research too.
Hmm.
And maybe even touch a bit more on the science, like how these meds work beyond just appetite, just to give you that really full picture.
Yeah, definitely. So our mission for you listening today is really to invite you to consider what you're truly hungry for.
Beyond the physical food cravings.
Exactly. We want to explore that silence. It can feel unsettling sometimes, for sure, but also incredibly clarifying when those physical urges quiet down. It lets you maybe decode what's underneath it all.
It's interesting because traditionally we've often thought of hunger as pretty simple, right? Like just a biological thing, stomach growls, blood sugar dips.
Yeah, very mechanical.
But Dan Hollis and others too really push us to see it as much more layered. He talks about emotional hunger not as like a demand for pizza, but as a question.
A question. How so?
He puts it as a need asking to be seen, which I think is quite profound.
That is a beautiful way to frame it. And, it lines up really well with a lot of psychological understanding.
How so?
Well, think about it, right? For so many people, food becomes this quick fix. It's readily available. It feels good temporarily.
A coping mechanism.
Exactly. For all sorts of unmet emotional needs. Stress, boredom, anxiety, maybe even feelings we don't recognize, like unexpressed joy sometimes. Behavioral psychology research points to these triggers all the time.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is how the GLP-1 medications intersect with this, because they don't just slow down your digestion.
Right, there's more to it.
Yeah, they also act on the brain's reward pathways, dopamine and all that.
Huh.
And this subtle shift neurologically can actually start to change those ingrained associations we have with food. Those old emotional rewards just don't hit the same way.
So, okay, let's unpack that. If food has been your go-to, like emotional scaffolding,
Scaffolding, good words.
yeah, providing comfort, maybe a sense of control, even part of your identity, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly that intense physical drive gets turned way down by the medication. Well, you're going to feel a bit exposed, aren't you?
Absolutely. It's a natural reaction. It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not just about your stomach anymore.
No.
And this is where Dan Hollis offers such a critical insight. He says, look, semaglutide isn't the fix itself.
Right.
He calls it a window, or sometimes a biological pause, a reset.
I like that, a pause.
It gives you this unique space, this opportunity to finally step back and ask, okay, wait, what am I actually hungry for?
Which then raises that big question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
What do you do with that quiet?
Yeah.
With that pause?
That's a challenge, isn't it?
Mm.
But also the real opportunity.
Totally. And Dan's whole framework is about figuring out what he calls signal confusion.
Signal confusion.
Yeah, like learning to observe the craving, not just reactively obey it, to actually try and decode what that feeling, that hunger, really signifies.
Okay.
Because as he points out, if you don't have some structure or support in place, this medication could almost amplify your confusion just as quickly as it dials down your appetite.
That's a really important point. So his perspective isn't that semaglutide solves emotional eating.
Not at all.
It's more that it creates the silence that allows you to find your own solution. He's not anti-medications, far from it.
No, he sees its value.
Exactly. He emphasizes that its real power is the time it buys you. Time to reflect, time to maybe reset some of those old automatic patterns, and crucially, time to build new ones.
So it's not a shortcut. It's like hitting a profound pause button on your life's VCR, maybe, if anyone remembers VCRs.
Right, a pause button.
Mm.
And he's very upfront that this silence, this pause, can be deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, he mentions that. He says for some people, when those constant food cravings just disappear, it can feel like losing a friend.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
Isn't it? And it highlights exactly why he stresses needing support to navigate that feeling. You can't just white-knuckle through that kind of emotional shift.
No, absolutely not. But he also says that discomfort, while difficult,
Mm-hmm.
can be incredibly clarifying. It can actually pave the way for real, lasting change if you engage with it.
So how do you engage with it? What's the core idea there?
Well, his core insight really is that emotional hunger often comes from a place of identity disconnection.
Identity disconnection.
Yeah, when we lose touch with who we really are deep down or what genuinely fulfills us, food can easily become a stand-in, a way to fill a void that actually has nothing to do with needing calories.
Okay, that makes sense.
He argues that maybe you didn't lose control around food. Maybe you lost connection. Connection to your body's actual hunger signals, connection to your sense of purpose, connection to yourself.
Hmm.
And this really resonates with many therapeutic approaches. The ones that emphasize self-compassion, self-awareness as pathways to healing.
So it's definitely not just about willpower then, is it? Gritting your teeth?
Not at all. It's much deeper. He puts it really well, I think. He says, you don't hold on to weight loss with discipline.
Okay. How then?
You hold on to it with alignment.
Alignment. Tell me more about that.
It means becoming the kind of person, fundamentally, who doesn't need weight loss to be this constant, all-consuming project anymore. It's about changing the internal story, not just swapping out the snack you reach for.
Replacing the story, not just the snack. I like that.
Yeah. And it connects directly to how he views success. For him, it isn't just about the number going down on the scale.
Right, it's bigger than that.
It's about how many of those old coping mechanisms, those food-based ones, have been replaced with genuine internal tools for managing life, emotions, stress.
So the weight reduction becomes almost like a side effect.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A side effect of achieving that internal clarity and alignment. He actually asserts that people often don't regain weight because the drug stopped working physically.
Oh, interesting. Why then?
They regain it because they haven't rebuilt that emotional framework, the structure that food used to provide. And, this isn't just his idea. Long-term weight management studies consistently show this. Behavioral support, psychological tools, they are absolutely key for sustained success, no matter how the initial weight came off.
That really puts the medication in perspective. It's a tool, a powerful one, but just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Precisely.
So if you're listening and you're on a journey like this, maybe you're using semaglutide, maybe you're thinking about it, or maybe you're just exploring your own relationship with food and hunger. This is really your invitation, isn't it? Don't just focus on the numbers, the physical changes. Focus on this unique window that the tool, or even just this deeper understanding we're talking about, can open up for you.
Absolutely. See it as your chance to actively engage with that pause, that quiet space.
Yeah.
Start asking yourself those questions. Okay, what am I really hungry for right now? And maybe what parts of me need support now that food isn't automatically filling in all those gaps?
Because ultimately, like Dan Hollis reminds us so thoughtfully, this isn't some miracle pill that just magically fixes everything.
No quick fixes here.
But it really can be that miracle pause, as he calls it, that reset, that window, offering this profound opportunity for real clarity and self-discovery.
And when you approach that emotional hunger, remember Dan Hollis's philosophy.
Yeah.
It's not about judging yourself or creating more rigid rules.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating empathy for yourself.
Yeah.
Developing a deeper awareness and bringing genuine curiosity to your own experience.
So what does this all boil down to for you, the listener? I think it means embracing that quiet if it comes, really listening to what emerges from it. Because to use Dan Hollis's really powerful closing thought, when the cravings stop, the truth begins.